Car fix back. Car fix back.
Car fix back.
Car fix back.
Car fix back.
Car fix back.
Car fix back.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of First Canada Live. We're doing all sorts of good stuff here. We've got an empty room. That's kind of bizarre, but that's okay. Good stuff happening here. Thank you for being watching the show tonight. We got a lot of fun stuff, and to do all the fun stuff with me, introducing our co-host for today's show, a student on First Team 5036, the Robo Devils, and a member of the First Canada Youth Council. Say hello to Riddy. Hey Riddy, how's it going? Did I lose you, Riddy? Come back to me.
It's
There
going
you
pretty
are.
good. How are you?
I am doing great. I am
Hi.
very excited for the show today. It should be a lot of fun. And why is it going to be fun? Because we got a lot of cool stuff going on. We're going to have an FRC Showcase. That's right. We got teams 4917 and 865 reuniting the 2018 Einstein Alliance. They'll be here today to talk about what their team's been up to this season. We have Storytime with Taegen Poles. Taegen was on the show a couple of times this season, actually. Competed in the Kahoot Challenge, almost took down Brennan Bibick in like a very, very close matchup. And we got a recap of last weekend's Fll Challenge Waterloo remote qualifying event, which would be very exciting to take a look at. So lots of good stuff happening. Reminder to our audience, if you have any questions for us, for any of the guests, any of the panelists, throw them into chat. We'll do our best to answer them throughout the show. But in the meantime, I think it's time to go to the Youth Council Wellness Moment. And I think, Riddy, you got something pretty interesting for us this week, right?
Yeah, I'm so excited to share another wellness moment with everyone. And one thing that I've been doing for like a year now is journaling. And so I actually have my journal here.
Oh, wow.
And I started it on Sunday, March 14th, 2020. So it's basically
That's a
been
very good time to have started it, because that's basically right when the lockdown started in Toronto.
Yeah, and so I basically started journaling, and I started writing about my days, things that made me happy, things that I wanted to remember. And so it's just such a healthy outlet for your stress and to talk about yourself. And it's just a safe way to let everything out. And so I want to get everyone started on their own journaling. So I want to everyone a prompt. And so prompt is, what is one of your favorite songs and why? So you can type that in the Twitch chat box, like one or two sentences about your favorite song and why it's your favorite song. And it could be to like a favorite moment, a story, anything. Karthik, do you have one?
So I have many favorite songs, but I think like on today, if I was writing a journal entry today, I would write about the Notorious B.I.G. because today's the 24th anniversary of his assassination. I don't know, when presidents die, they call it an assassination, but when rappers die, they call it a murder. But he was assassinated. He's a celebrity. He was a big name. Yeah, so that's a big day because to me, like he died when I was in high school, and it was such a monumental impact. Like, whoa, this is like my favorite rapper, and his music has such a huge impact on so many people that yeah, I would definitely write about that. Probably my favorite song of his of all time is Juicy. So, and it looks like Riddy might be frozen, but that's okay because she's frozen because she's doing so much writing, and we've lost Riddy, but that's okay. That's totally okay. So make sure you start the journaling thing, and keeping a journal, especially when you're a young person, is so incredibly valuable because I have some like entries from when I was, and it's just so cool to look at them in the future. So like keep it and like lock it away and have it because it's just a nice little time capsule, and it'll remind you of things of what was going on in the past. So that's all good. But thank you very much, Riddy, for our wellness moment. And I think now it's time to talk a little bit about the news updates. Hey, Riddy, you're back.
My bad. My Wi-Fi kind of glitched over there.
That's okay. I was just kind of telling everyone about the importance of journaling and how cool it is to do something like this, especially when you're young, because then you have it when you're older to look back at it. It's like a time capsule. So I know, like, I have entries from like when I was in grade 12 of stuff, and it's just like, oh yeah, I remember that night. That was like so much fun. Like we used to get these agenda books with our student council card at Wilbur, and I would always like write a little bit in there too. So.
Oh my gosh. All right.
And I think we're going to move into the news updates. Riddy, don't worry about your Wi-Fi. To get that all sorted out, and we'll figure this all out. We'll make this work somehow. Don't stress. So our news updates, we got a lot of cool stuff happening in the First Canada World. So right now, teams in Ontario have been notified of their interview time slots for both Chairman's Award and the Dean's List Award. Those interviews are going to be starting to take place over the next couple of weeks. But we want everyone to get your calendars out, because on Tuesday, March 23rd, normal First Canada Live time slot, we are going to be announcing the winners of the Ontario District Dean's List and Chairman's Awards. We're going to be having a whole awards gala to announce all of this, and we'll be announcing the award winners from the STEM-a-thon. So lots of good stuff happening March 23rd, 7 p.m. in the First Canada Live time slot, the First Canada Awards Gala for Ontario. So make sure you tune in for that. You know, if you want to find out if your team won chairman's or if you're Dean's List finalist, like that's a big deal. So you're going to want to tune in for that. Whitty, are you back with us? Maybe. That's okay.
Yep.
All right.
Is everything, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's delayed. It's a little bit delayed, but that's okay. We'll make it work. So other things that are happening, we have a couple scholarship deadlines coming up. York University's first robotics scholarship, the deadline is April 1st. And Western University's first robotics scholarship, the deadline is April 30th. Any first student is eligible for the scholarship as long as you've applied to one of these schools. For all the details, head over to firstroboticscanada.org/scholarships, and that link is in chat. So you're going to want to take a look to see all the details. And if you're already applying to these schools, you should definitely apply for these scholarships, because like that's it. Just, you know, to go in, go through the process. It's really, really important. And, you know, these schools, York and Western, support First in so many different ways, especially with their events, but the scholarships is a nice way too. So you could be one of these scholarship winners. So we've had a lot of past scholarship winners on this show before. Other deadlines that are coming up. So now everyone's submitted their game design and innovation challenge, and they've opted in for the awards. But if you are doing the FRC at-home skills challenges this year, those scores and videos are due on April 8th. And that will sneak up on you because we're almost like a month away. So it's always seemed like it's far away, but that's coming up. So if any teams who have had access to their robot and are trying those skills challenges, make sure you get submitted by April 8th. Other things that we have going on in the community is that this weekend we have our first FTC qualifier of the season. That's right. You know, we've been doing recaps of all our FLL challenge events, and we've been doing recaps of our FTC scrimmages, but this is the first qualifier with, you know, official awards and all sorts of good stuff happening. So if you want to watch that, tune into this very Twitch channel on Saturday at 10 a.m. and it'll be a showcase. And it's going to be very similar to what we've done with the FLL challenge ones. Hey, Riddy, you're back. Maybe you're back.
Hi, sorry about that.
That's okay. You know, I've just been like doing the news updates. I'm just like, okay, I'm just like a lonely dude. I'll just do this on my own. You know, it's just like, that's fine. Riddy's just gonna like abandon me. It's cool. It's whatever. But Riddy, we were just telling everyone about the award show coming up, scholarships at York and Western, skills challenge deadline, and the FTC event this weekend. Anything you're excited for coming up in the First community?
Oh my gosh, there's so much that's going on. I'm so excited for the awards show that's coming up really soon. I haven't really been keeping up with what's been going on, so I can't wait to see what's about to happen.
Yeah, and it's always great to recognize the Chairman's Award winners and the Dean's List Award winners. There's so many just amazing teams and students in this program, and to give them that sort of recognition. Normally, if we were doing in-person events, you know, we'd be like all cheering like crazy and doing the announcements. We're going to do the same thing from home this time. You know, it's going to be a really good time. So make sure you tune in for all the good stuff. So, you know, we got a little bit of time here already because we went through the news updates so fast and the journal stuff. But, you know, going back to your wellness moment on the journaling, has there been like specific topics that you typically write on, or do you like, or where do you come up with your prompts?
So usually I don't really have a prompt. I just kind of go with what's been on my mind. So if I have a great day with my friends, I talk about it and like things I would like to remember. If there's a certain song that's making me feel good in the moment, I talk about why it's making me feel good. So it's just wherever I feel in the moment that I just put out onto the paper.
What's your feel good song of the moment for right now? Did you catch that, Riddy? What's your feel good song right now? Oh, maybe we've lost Riddy again. It's all good. as Riddy straightens out. Hey, how are you doing?
Hi.
Okay, we think we're losing you here, Riddy, and we'll come back. We'll find this conversation a little bit later on. But I think right now, let's take a look at a video from one of our sponsors.
The world is full of people telling you who to believe they are. Well, we thought we'd tell you who we're not. Let's start here. We're not in shipping. We don't make lifts. Seriously, no lifts. We do this. We're good at this. And we make all of these. And even though you'll find us here and here, we don't make energy. We make you save it. And you'll be saving the environment too. Are we an internet company? Well, we connect and power just about everything around you, helping machines talk to each other and to you, making your world more personal. We're seeking out the big questions and answering them honestly. Like, how can we make the most of our energy and resources? Or can we make access to energy and digital basic human rights? We're real people, employees, developers, partners, investors, and inventors, all passionate about doing what's right. We're open. Humans of all sorts from all over, learning from each other and about each other. We're not here to save the world. It'll go on with or without us. We're here to help power and connect what you do every day, to ensure life is on everywhere, for everyone, at every moment.
All right, hey, we're back. And now it's time to do our FLL Challenge Recap. And to help us do that, we have our game announcer from the weekend, Kira, who's a student on FRC Teams 3683, Team Dave from Waterloo, Ontario, and was, like I said, our FLL Challenge Waterloo Remote Qualifying Event game announcer. Hey, Kira, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Karthik?
I am good. I am still pretty pumped from this weekend's FLL event. So this was, obviously you've done the in-person event in Waterloo before, and now you did the virtual one. What were your thoughts on this whole virtual experience?
It was definitely a lot different not having the whole audience there and all the kids there to like hype everyone up, but it was still an amazing experience, and I had a lot of fun being able to game announce again.
Yeah. So what was your favorite part of the experience?
Um, I don't know if I have one particular part that was like my favorite. I just enjoyed the whole event. I loved seeing the robots and how amazing they did, even though that they didn't have the opportunity to meet necessarily in person, and they did amazing.
Yeah, this is one of those things that I think that kind of gets lost in the shuffle is that so many of these FLL teams weren't able to meet in their normal meeting schedules where, you have 10 students, working together and figuring things out. A lot of teams were doing things solo, or they were sharing a robot where, one kid has the robot for a week and then it gets passed on to another student, and trying to work that way, trying to design things online, having Zoom call. Like, imagine assembling a robot via Zoom, and what a challenge that is. But then to still be able to do it and get a program to put together some of these really amazing runs. And speaking of that, we will show the best run from the weekend in just a second. But also it was really neat because we got to see behind the scenes, because we got to see one of the team's presentations for their innovation, well, for their research program, which is very similar to the Innovation Challenge in FRC. And now, Kira, I know Team Dave has done an Innovation Challenge this year. Were you part of that process?
I was part of the process, yes.
So now you've seen some really cool stuff from the FLL teams. Do you think our FRC teams are going to be able to match what these FLL teams have been doing for years and years in the Innovation Challenge?
I don't know. It's still new to FRC, and FLL has been doing it since the beginning. So it's definitely going to be different for the FRC teams to be doing the same thing. But I think it's a great opportunity, and the fact that they're introducing it to not just FLL is amazing.
Yeah, I think so. Because to me, it's almost seemed like, and we've heard from people on the show who've been FLL students, and they say, yeah, I got to FRC and I loved FRC, but I was like, where's my project? What do I get to work on? Because, but it just kind of makes sense that and we talk about it all the time in FRC where, we're trying to train the next generation of problem solvers to solve the world's big problems. But why not take a stab at solving some of these problems now? What's the worst that could happen, And you know, like we solve big problems in terms of like, yeah, like, you know, building a robot or whatever, but like these FLL kids are coming up with like empathetic solutions to problems like, you know, administering medications and making sure people have accessible opportunities. And it's just really cool to see. So I loved all the stuff that's going on. But I think right now, maybe let's dive into and let's like take a look at one of the matches from the weekend. So how about we take a look at the Tyrrell Flares, team 34-818, and their 405-point robot performance award-winning run. And as this is going on, we can talk over this run.
One, let go.
And a reminder for everyone, this is all autonomous. This is the FL Challenge world is not like FRC. Robots are completely autonomous for the full 2 minutes and 30 seconds. The only thing you can do is when the robot comes back to base, like it just did, you can add more stuff. And he basically just added a full robot on top of that robot, which is kind of wild. Riddy, how much FLL have you experienced?
I haven't experienced a lot.
Okay, so I want your like opinion on this, like someone who's new to the game. Like, what do you think about seeing all this right now, knowing that this is all autonomous?
I am kind of shocked because this year my team, we couldn't compete because of the circumstances. And so it's just so nice seeing that people are still competing and being able to do robotics, even from like a virtual state. So it's really impressive to me.
Yeah, this is just wild. And it looks like, you know, he doesn't have any teammates with him right now, which is an incredible challenge into itself, but they are doing pretty awesome right here. 1:24 left, and there's still a lot of missions on this table for them to undertake. But just the accurate turns and just the accuracy of everything, plus or minus like half an inch, maybe. Like, this is wild. And so many different attachments on the robot to perform different routines. And now, you know, that one at the weight machine, levering that up. And now let's see if they can flip the tire. I have to say, we're watching this match right now, but Kira, there's a lot of comments in chat about your toque. Everyone seems to be involved with your toque. So. Another attachment, 35 seconds left. I'm just so impressed by this. And now they got to finesse the step counter because you can't just blast through that one. It's got to go at like a very measured speed. And now over to they're going to try and do the treadmill. Yeah, they got to roll. They got to spin the treadmill. So they're using their drivetrain wheels as their spinner. Very similar to the color wheel last year in FRC, except it's actually being used. So that's the thing.
The match is over.
And the match is over. I love how just like cool and calm he is. Like, the match is over. I'm done here. My work is done. 405 points by the Tyrrell Flares. Nicely done. Very, very impressive to see that. And all autonomous. So it's neat. And Kira, you have to say, like, the Tyrrell Flares was very impressive, but like almost all, like pretty much all the teams were doing lots of missions, right?
Yeah. It was amazing. There were so many missions being done, such a wide variety too. It wasn't like the same mission. So it was really a fun event to watch.
Yeah, I really did enjoy the creativity. Like you said, there was a big variety. There's so many different approaches to how to solve these problems. And I think that's a fantastic job by all the teams. So I think now we can go to the next phase of the competition that we showed off, which is the presentation. We talked about the innovation challenge and all that sort of stuff. So let's take a look at one of the presentations. So let's watch this in depth and we'll talk about it afterwards. Team 39917, the Bamba Sandbots, and their presentation.
Hello, everyone. We are the Bamba Sandbots, FRL Team 39917, and today we would like to share with you our innovation project. We hope you enjoy. Hey, Samuel, what did you do today?
Nothing much, just some schoolwork and video games.
Samuel, you'd feel better if you get moving a bit. You need to have at least 1 hour of physical activity every day.
What? If I go walking for an hour, my legs will fall off. What will happen then?
Nothing much. You never use them anyways. But they wouldn't with physical activity. Go check it out. You'll be moving around without even knowing that you're exercising. Come see how we made this awesome site.
As young engineers, we followed the engineering design process to go from defining our problem to finishing our project.
Our problem is that kids lack the motivation to live a physically active lifestyle.
We decided that our solution had to make kids want to be physically active. It needed to be fun and easy to get physically active.
Success! After a lot of work, we had our site launched. We got a lot of comments saying, great job.
Presenting Funsical
Fun.
So here, this is our website. Our homepage informs you about why you need to be physically active. And then we have many fun challenges. For example, this one. For this challenge, you need to defend your castle from a pile of boxes that's going to intrude. First, you have to make your castle. You can use blankets, pillows, boxes, or anything else you want. Then, you need to load your castle with things to defend it. You can use stuffies or other things to throw at your intruder. And then, you can make a pile of leftover castle materials, and that can be your intruder. Now, you have to fight it to the ground. Here,
let's look at another challenge. Your plane has crashed in the wilderness of Alaska. You need to survive until someone finds you. You have to make a shelter. So you make a pile of snow, you make a hole in the middle, you make an entrance, and you stick a sled on top. And then you finish building your shelter. Then you need to get food. Food is snowballs. Make 20 snowballs and put them into your shelter.
Yummy.
You should have enough food to sustain you for a while. And now we need to make a message on the ground so then people know that you're there. So you can walk around in a circle of SOS. And now you have finished the challenge.
Another challenge we have is Sled Dog-A-Thon. You are a sled dog, and your job is to pull around your family and friends on a sled. And then, if you have enough people, you can have a race to see who can pull their sled the fastest, or who can keep going the longest. And here's another fun one. This one is about batting a ball of paper back and forth. You just crumple up a scrap paper into a ball, and then you can bounce it from one person to another, and see how long you can keep it off the ground. Or you can just do it off your hand alone, because maybe you don't have somebody to play with.
Have you ever wanted to travel the world? Now you can. How? By dancing. So you'll have to learn how to dance around the world. For this challenge, you'll need the internet so you can find out. And you look up how to dance from different countries. And then you can actually do that and try to dance to a song. Use your imagination.
And that's all we have for you today. Find all these and many more at funsicalwicketivity.fun.
I've been muted this whole time. I'm just like tracking away, and just going. So my point was that, I made so eloquently to no one except for myself, is that these are elementary school students, and they put together like an entire webpage. And to me, that seems wild, but like, here, is this like a normal thing, or is this actually as wild as I think it is?
Well, you'll see a lot of similar things like this in FLL. So it's definitely amazing that they can do this, and they did an amazing job. Their website looked amazing. They were so creative with their ideas. But a lot of these elementary school kids do this type of stuff, and it's just amazing that they have the ability to learn how to do it and do an amazing job of it.
Right. And so much of this is like, what makes this really neat is we always talk about this. Oh, it's more than a robot, but a lot of people are just kind of like, yeah, that's just like a thing. Like the robot's the focus here, but this is nothing to do with the robot, but they're learning so many valuable skills that are going to be used in so many different ways. So that's pretty neat. Rudy, what did you think of the video?
I loved it. I loved that they were using their skills and promoting physical activity, just because, again, a lot of us were spending time like working from home, staring at a screen. And so it's really nice having like people promoting physical activity in so many creative ways that I just really loved the video. And it's definitely motivated me to kind of be more physically active throughout my day as well.
I loved all of it, except when they suggested throwing your stuffed animals at people. Like, that's just not cool. Like, stuffed animals deserve some love. You don't just throw people around. Like, what if like a society of giants showed up and just started chucking us around? Like, no one would be okay with that, Like, stuffed animals have rights, Okay, so the event was great, and there was a lot of award winners, and I think it's appropriate for us to recognize those award winners right now. So let's take a look at the slides to see the award winners from the Waterloo Remote Qualifying event. And so the coach award went to the coach of the Creative Kangaroos, team 2614. Innovation Project Award with the team 8404, team not found. But we found them. That joke's never going to get old. It's awesome. The Robot Design Award to team 4047, the Fit Innovators. And the Robot Performance Award to the Tiro Flares, 34818, who we just saw. And the Core Values Award went to the Bamba Sanabot. So the core values, for those of you who don't know, FLL has major areas, and one major area is the robot, both on the field and in the design interviews. Another area is the project, which we talked about. But then core values are kind of threaded through everything about FLL. They recognize it with a specific award for a team who's exemplified core values throughout everything that they've been doing. So congratulations to the Bamba Sanabots on winning that very prestigious award. And the Champions Award goes to the Tiro Flares, team 34818, and we saw their robot. And so many of these teams will be moving on to the Provincial Championship happening May 15th. And we're going to have one more FLL qualifier. April 10th is going to be the showcase, so you can tune into that. Kira, did you enjoy this whole experience?
I did enjoy it. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you for being on the show. Come back anytime. And actually, I'm just saying that we're going to be having a bunch of time slots in April for any FRC teams that want to come talk about their game design or the Innovation Challenge project. So if Team Dave wants to come on, I say you get in touch and make that happen. Are you down for that?
Thank you.
I'm just going to volunteer the team.
I'm down. I
Yeah,
have to talk to my team, but yeah.
Yeah, we can just ignore Praneet and Barbara. It'll be fine. We'll just make it. But say hi to the team. Thanks so much to Team Dave for everything you do. Not just your volunteering, but the whole entire team and helping out with this FLL event. That's been a huge, huge thing. And we're going to be back. Speaking of FRC teams, we've got a couple coming up right after the break. But before we do that, let's take a look at this video from one of our sponsors, 3M.
So FIRST Robotics Competition is the epitome of the robotics competitions here in Canada. It's an opportunity for high school students to get involved in the engineering design of an entire robotic system.
People think robotics is all about building the robot, right? But building the robot is only half the challenge. Building the robot is actually a vehicle for you to build your own self.
For our Canadian manufacturers to stay competitive, there's a lot of automation and robotics that have to go into our manufacturing facilities. So the skills that the kids are learning in this competition hit that mark spot on.
There's definitely the technical ones. You know, I've learned how to do CAD design. I've learned how to work machines. But one of the really, really big ones that I really like is and I think it's really important in this world, is I've learned how to work with a team. Without being able to work as a team going into industry, it's not going to work out.
There are absolutely skills that the students are using today that are things that we use in professional careers that have to do with STEM. They are learning how to communicate. They are learning how to collaborate. They're learning how to think outside the box so that they're not limiting themselves to one thing. They're getting to do coding, marketing, design, engineering, science, the whole 9 yards all together.
It really teaches you all these different skills that you wouldn't think that you would know. It teaches you, how to work with other people, how to do soft skills, communication, teamwork, leadership, all that kind of stuff.
Some of our alumni have gone on to receive excellent scholarships at top-tier universities, and because of that, they've started getting known well by top-tier companies, which allows our brand to carry on as they work for large technological companies in the programming sector, in the automation sector. It's really interesting to see where we end up.
All right, we're back, and it's time for our FRC Showcase. Riddy, you ready for this?
Yep.
Yeah, we got a lot of exciting teams, and our first team coming on is Team 4917, Sir Lancerbot from Elmira, Ontario. We have their mentor, Eric Godet, who is a senior software developer at a local company and has been mentoring the team since he got dragged in at the rookie year. Family ties brought you in, which is how a lot of people get involved at first, but glad you're here. And then we have three students. We have Holden, who's in grade 11 and a build team co-lead. We have Matthew, grade 12, software team co-lead and design team co-lead, and Rebecca, who is a business and media lead and also in grade 12. Welcome, everyone. How are you all doing?
Good.
Good.
Great.
Yeah, it's been an interesting year, and so we wanted to bring you on because we just love to hear what our teams are up to, and I think it's important for other teams to hear what teams are up to because I think everyone's kind of like still feeling this all out and like, what are we supposed to be doing, and are we doing it right? And I feel like there's no right way to do things this year. There's just lots of awesome ways. So, Matthew, I want to start with you. Like, how's the season going, and what have you been up to?
So because we are a school-based team as part of WRDSB school board, we have no extracurricular activities. So we are not officially operating at all. However, we are finding ways to stay involved with FIRST through the Waterloo Wellington FIRST Robotics organization, which is
Pro, right?
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, which is an organization of all the local teams. There are 9 local teams. And this year we are participating in a Elegoo challenge, mini robot challenge. It's sort of like it's inspired by FRC, and it's a robot game, but it's more on an individual basis. So we can do it. We get like a little kit of parts sent to our homes, so then we can do it by ourselves, and we don't have to come into contact with people.
Well, that's a really smart way of doing things for this year, because I think it's so important that we're respecting public health and we're all doing what we can as gracious professionals to take care of each other. So it's really neat that you found a unique way of being able to work within those circumstances.
Yeah. And then the members of business and media have also been active. If Rebecca wants to talk about that.
Yeah, Rebecca, what have you been up to?
Yeah, so from a business and media standpoint, we're trying to stay as connected as possible with sponsors through email, just keeping them up to date with our little activities like the Elegoo Challenge or anything else we're a part of. We're also doing our best to interact with other teams on social media. So our media team is right now in the process of coming up with some fun ideas for our Instagram account. So definitely keep an eye out for that.
All of that I'm excited for, because I know, Riddy, you work pretty closely on the youth council with a lot of their Instagram projects, right?
Yeah.
So like, Riddy, what's like your favorite Instagram post that the youth council's done this year? I know there's a lot.
Oh, yeah, there are so many, but I think it's the recent one for Project Green about the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. I feel like it was really informative.
So like Rebecca, like what's the coolest like social post that you've made this year or the team's made this year?
We have been doing a lot of Throwback Thursday posts. So
Okay.
Obviously the green milk one, that's got to be one of
I
my.
was wearing my green milk shirt like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Yes. I didn't understand the whole meme at first, and then someone like tossed me a shirt, and I was like, "Oh, well, this is cool. I guess I got to get with it now." You know, it's like I'd be introducing your team, and someone would be like, "Karthik, say green milk." I'm like, "What's wrong with you people? Is that like that's like what Luke Skywalker was drinking in like Episode 8? Like I don't know, but can someone explain the green milk thing to me while we're here? If it's appropriate, please tell me it's appropriate. Otherwise,
Yeah, it was pretty much just like a big inside joke we were coming up with, like
we're turning into an outside joke now. The whole world's watching.
Yeah. We were like talking about names for our robot, and our robot's name always is has been green and then something or something green, and so pretty much it was on the software team. We were talking about
Of course,
it.
it was the software team.
Yeah, and I think I'm not sure how exactly it came, but like we were like drinking milk or something, and we were just like saying some random name. So he said like, "Oh, we should call it green milk," and like I think another that was thrown around was like Green Edna, which was our robot in 2020 because
I'm glad you went with green milk. It's a little bit less strange, I think there. But okay, well now we know where green milk came from. You're just trying to name the robot while you're drinking milk.
And then it sort of, but like our official robot name wasn't Green Milk.
Shocking.
But all of the because like we had like a poll and it wasn't an option, so all of the software members voted for Green Milk on the other field or whatever, and then we started cheering at competitions and stuff.
If you ever need a group to derail something, it's going to be your software group. Just in any corporation you work with, as you go into jobs, whatever, understand that it's going to be the software group that derails it, and it's usually something to do with food. So that's kind of where it's going to go. Holden, we haven't heard from you yet. Can you tell us a little bit more about WW First or WW Pro?
Yeah, so WW First is the new name. It is the Waterloo Wellington Regional Organization for First. It's made up of 9 teams. This year we have a bunch of teams competing in our Eli Goo competition, which Matthew went over a little bit earlier. So we have 7 teams from WW First, as well as 2 teams from outside the district who are competing in this event. And I'm really excited to see where this goes.
So just to be clear, is the name no longer WW Fro? Do I have to like stop that?
I believe we did change, but both are still acceptable.
WW First is also very, very cool because it has the first name in there. That makes more sense. But like Fro.
Still officially WWFRO. That's what the corporation is. You're good.
I'll stick with it that way. Matthew, so obviously, because you're not able to operate as an extracurricular like you traditionally would, COVID's made a huge difference this year. But what other ways has been different for your team?
So our team has been mostly student driven this year. And so we have to make an active effort to like stay engaged with like first values and STEM, because we are not going to like robotics every day. So we have to be proactive about trying to find ways to stay engaged, like through the Fll Challenge and through like the media posts and stuff like that.
And Rebecca, what's something new that you've done or learned this year?
So this year, especially like Matthew touched on, communication has really been key. Without regular team meetings like in person, it has been kind of difficult to organize things or make sure that everybody is checking their chats or their emails. So that has definitely been a learning curve this year. But we also worked with other WW First teams to plan and execute an alumni night. So this was an opportunity for students to ask questions from alumni from WW First in the fields that they're interested in going into for post-secondary. So we heard from engineering students, some software or computer science students, and some design students. And it was a really great opportunity for students to learn about the field, about university and college life, and how FIRST really did help them get there.
That's really neat that you were able to put together something like that, because I think those are, and like Riddy, maybe you can speak to this, but like there's almost like a gap in knowledge. And so it's really great that you were able to pull that in. What do you think, Riddy?
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes like new members might not know what's going on. And so it's really nice to be filled in on the gap.
Yeah, that's very, very cool. And so Rebecca, you also said that, communication, that you've had to learn how to communicate differently. Were there any new tools that you used this year? Because I think it's always great for other teams to hear about what tools, what software or processes teams have been using to improve their communication.
Yeah, so in the last couple of years, we have incorporated Google Chats and our whole 4917 G Suite into how we communicate with each other. So that has been really helpful to have different chat rooms for each sub-team, so we can make it a little bit more focused based on what each person is doing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And Rebecca, is there, obviously there's a lot you could probably say, and your team is just generally so helpful and knowledgeable. But is there one piece of advice you'd like to give other teams right now?
If other teams are not competing, especially, I mean, this is advice for all teams, but especially those that aren't competing, stay connected with your sponsors. It can just be a brief little check-in to let them know, like, hey, we're not running, but we really would appreciate your support next year. Just to keep that connection with your sponsors, it will help them to come back next year, which is very important to help your team run.
Yeah, that's great advice. And, I think sponsors in general, they love hearing from teams. They love hearing from the students. That's why they're in it for the students. They're not in it for glory or anything like that. They're in it for the students. And so hearing from the students and just being like, and also it's because I've talked to some teams who are like, oh, we don't know what to tell our sponsors because we're not doing that much. And it's okay to be like, yeah, we're not doing much. We're in the middle of a pandemic. You're not supposed to be doing much, So it's totally okay. Reach out and let them know, because the sponsors and being realistic with timelines and all, I think that's a great thing. That's a great reminder for everyone. Reach out to your sponsors and just be like, hey, we miss you. We wish we could be sharing events with you right now, and we can't wait to do it again next year. Really cool. Is there anything else you'd like to add, talk about? We got a few more minutes here.
Yeah, like Rebecca said, it's important to stay connected, but even beyond sponsors, stay connected with your team and with FIRST itself. So again, we're not operating, but we are doing these Ilegu challenges, and we're really focusing on cooperation. So with these challenges, everyone's getting an individual robot, and they're going to have to learn a lot of new things, especially if they've only been on one sub-team. But now through this whole challenge and through WW First, everyone is talking. We have Discords and Google Chats groups where it's outside of just a single team, and everyone's able to talk and learn and share ideas. So we're really focusing on getting everyone involved and getting everyone interested in STEM.
So in a way, do you feel like you're almost a little bit more connected with these other teams than you would have been in a normal season?
I'd say so, yeah. It's more than just in the pits lending a helping hand. You're lending a hand throughout the entire design process.
That is really cool. That's a win in all of this. And hopefully, you can share that model with other teams, and we can continue to do that, because I think the coolest thing about this community is community. That sense of connection you have, and like even in the pre-show, we were just like chatting casually about, 865's bucket hats and then your Einstein run, and just like that commonality where like it feels like it's a safe space to have a conversation. It's really kind of cool that you can do that, especially in a year where so many people are feeling isolated at home. And I was thinking about this, there's been so many groups who've made sacrifices throughout the pandemic, frontline workers and all, but I think we underestimate the sacrifice that have been made by teenagers. Because I know for me, thinking as an adult, it's like, wow, taking away a year of my life at my age, it's like, okay, every year is kind of like the same-ish. I don't have kids or whatever, so like that explains some of it. But if you were to take away my 1 year of my life when I was 17, I think of all those memories that I have like written in journals like Riddy does. And if that was to be erased from my life, that's like formative. So I think of all the people I met at that time. I'm just so glad you all are be able to form some other connections, because I think that's so important. So like that's really, really cool to hear. Before we go, because we have A65 coming up next, and they were, your Einstein buddies. Does anyone want to tell the story of how you managed to end up on that alliance with A65? Because you were talking about a little bit about it before, where you have a little bit of a robot issue, and that allowed you to follow in the draft. Does anyone want to tell that story quickly?
I can talk about
Yeah.
that. So this was 2017 or 18?
18.
2018. Yeah, and we got to Worlds. We had a really good year. We won Waterloo in our division at provincials, I
Yeah,
believe.
you were finalists in very close matches at provincials.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. And when we made it to Worlds, we decided to compete with the competition. We wanted to have a couple of upgrades to our robot. So we changed pretty much the entire elevator that we had. And then we went in, and through the changing of that and it being shipped over the border, some stuff got jostled. We had a tough couple of games to start. Our first game, our robot spun in 3 times and went straight at the one of the game pieces, which was the scale, and got stuck on it, which would have gotten us like many penalties if we weren't bumped away from it. And we did, like, our robot was broken for the first half of Worlds, and then we fixed it, but none of the other teams knew that we were a good robot because we hadn't, or a good team, because we
didn't
hadn't
display it.
shown up
Yeah,
at all.
Yeah, you'd shown it throughout the season, and like that's why a team like 865, who had seen you prior and does their homework, and even if they hadn't seen you prior, because they do so much homework, would have realized it, and then all of a sudden, that's how number 7 Alliance makes it to Einstein, which was an amazing run, and all of Canada was rooting for you, and we're super proud. So, thank you for that. Thank you for being on the show today and sharing everything that's going on. And we can't, Rebecca, what's your social media so people can take a look to see all these awesome posts coming up?
At FRC 4917 on both Twitter and Instagram.
All right, well, everyone, give them a follow and take a look at what they're doing. Thank you so much for being here, and we will all see you soon. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we're going to bring out Team 865 Warp 7 from Toronto, Ontario. We have Katarina, co-captain, a grade 12 student, also a 2020 Dean's List semifinalist with the Western event. Congratulations on that, Katarina. And we have Stella, the awards lead, co-lead for business, who's a grade 12 student. And we have 2 grade 10 students who are the innovation co-heads and members of the business team, Peter and Mahir. Welcome, everyone. How's everyone doing?
Good. We want to give a big thank you for having us on tonight.
Oh, well, thank you for being here. Because again, like we were just talking about with 4917, we love hearing the stories of teams and what you've all been up to. And you all have been doing a really neat seminar series. So we'd love to hear a little bit about that. I think you brought us some slides.
Yeah, we did. Actually,
All right.
Rebecca had a great segue for us talking about keeping up relationships with sponsors, because that's actually part of what we talk about in our seminar series.
All right, well, take it away, Stella.
Yeah, so we're from Warp 7, which is in Toronto, Ontario at Western Technical Commercial School. And we've been running a seminar series. There are 5 seminars, and it ends in a culminating pitch style competition where the winners get $1,000, which is very exciting. So these are each of the seminars, and they're focusing on financial literacy in a way that might not have been taught at schools before. So there's a lot of things we wanted to learn and do with these seminars. So if you want to move over to the next slide, we can talk about what inspired this event for us and why we wanted to do this. So engagement during this time is actually a really big deal for us as a team. And we wanted to make sure that we were engaging our team and keeping up contact with other teams. As we can see, this has had a really big and positive impact on mental health. We know from parents talking to us and rookies, because obviously grade 9s they haven't been at school, so having this communication is great. And as well, the benefits are financial, because not only are you learning through our seminars, but there's also a possibility that you can win a grand prize. And financially, this talks about sustainability as well. It's kind of built into the seminars. Mutual success is good for everyone, and you can only attain that through sustainability, and financial sustainability is big, which also creates a positive impact on our team and other teams. And the positive impact on our team extends to a learning opportunity, which is, I think, what Katarina is going to talk about next.
Yeah, when we were brainstorming the details, like what seminar topics we wanted, potential guest speakers we wanted to reach out to, we were asking ourselves a few questions about like, what do we want to achieve from this? And one of the things that we were asking ourselves was, what does success mean for our team? Like, what is the success measure coming from this series? And we wanted to become experts at running virtual events through platforms such as Zoom, which is becoming the new normal. We wanted to be able to network and connect with professionals, like 4917 was saying, maintaining strong partnerships with sponsors. And we want to get them engaged about something to do with FRC Robotics in kind of a different year. And we wanted, as a starting benchmark, since this was our new initiative, to have at least 6 teams attend the series. We also started asking ourselves, what does success mean for the people who are attending this seminar? What do they have to gain? And we wanted everyone to get a really solid understanding of each of the seminar topics. And one of the ways we thought that we could measure it is through active participation and engagement, having people trying to communicate with the panelists, asking questions about specific scenarios that are coming up or things that have been in the back of their mind for the past few months. And we also wanted to look for a way to provide an opportunity for teams to exercise the skills that they were gaining from all of these seminars, and decided on creating the pitch competition at the end so that they have a chance to get some in-depth feedback from some of the industry professionals. And like Stella said, get some funding for the next season.
As Kat has mentioned before, our planning process included choosing both seminar topics and presenters. We wanted to choose topics that were important and topics that would help teams now and in the future. As for presenters, we chose people that we believed were interesting while having the knowledge and skills that we need. We've also developed the pitch competition, as many people have mentioned before, that combines all the knowledge that the participants would have learned through the seminars and a way to give back to other teams through the $1,000 grand prize.
As Kat said earlier, we were initially aiming to have 6 FRC teams sign up, but we were extremely happy that we surpassed that, and we had 8 FRC teams and 1 FTC team sign up. And we even had participants from outside of Canada. In the 3 seminars we've run so far, we've had 7 speakers representing 6 different organizations, and we have 6 more speakers at their seminars to come. Our speakers also come with a wide range of expertise, both within FRST and outside of it. We've heard that there's been a lot of enthusiasm for FRST teams learning a lot of skills through our seminar series that aren't taught in normal high schools, and we've impressed ourselves a lot with the degree of speakers we've been able to recruit for the series.
We want to give a huge thank you to all of our panelists who have been appearing or are going to appear in our seminar series, because we wouldn't have been able to run these without their expertise and unique skill set and experience. And we also want to give a huge thank you to the teams that are participating, because without an audience to cater to, we wouldn't have been able to run these. We hope that you're learning a lot and having fun. We look forward to seeing your pitches in the coming weeks.
Well, that's amazing that you've all put this together as a resource for all the teams in the community. And there's like a couple of things that really struck me. Number one, I love that you had a couple slides on there about defining success. And so there's many things I loved about this. Number one, it's so easy to jump into a project and just be like, yeah, well, we want this to be a success, but you have to determine what that means. And especially that's a skill that FRC teams need to be better at, because that's how you build a better robot, because you have to define what success means for your team. Because not necessarily, it'd be nice to be like, yeah, winning the championship and getting the Hall of Fame. Sure, that's nice, but everyone has to have like reasonable goals that are measurable and attainable. And when you set those properly, you can set your robot constraints properly. So I love that. But I also loved how you defined success for different target groups, both for the team and for the participants, which is really important as well, because any project is viewed in multiple lenses. So that's super, super neat. Now, the question I have for you, NBA Canada. Okay, who did you have on?
We have one of their, they deal with partnerships. It's Chantel Smith. I can't remember her exact title right now, but we got her through a connection with Mark Harrison, who is running Sponsorship X / the T1 agency, and they're appearing in the panel coming up this Thursday.
Okay, that's very exciting and very cool. So congratulations on that. Now, I know you said there's 2 seminars left, 3 seminars left?
2 seminars and the pitch competition.
Okay, how can teams still sign up to attend those 2 seminars if they're watching the show right now, just like me, and be like, whoa, this is awesome?
Yeah, so you can sign up still on our website, but if you sign up now, sadly, you can't join the pitch competition just because it's too late. But you can come and sign up and watch the seminars to come.
And your website is?
Our website is warp7.ca.
warp7.ca. And what about the past seminars? Are they available for people to watch?
On our
They
website
can-
as well.
Yeah, you can find them on our website under the fundraising tab on our website or on YouTube.
All right, you're all about this. And your YouTube channel is Warp7, I'm gonna guess.
Yep.
Teammate 65 Warp 7, yeah.
There we go. Rudy, do you have any questions or comments on all this?
No, I really love the presentation, and I love that you guys like really focused on providing education, like providing things, providing the seminar attendees with like education that they wouldn't get in high school, especially around finances. Like I've been in high school for like 3 years and I haven't really learned anything about balancing finances. And so it's so important to learn that because those are like life skills. And I'm really glad that you guys are providing that. It's a great job, guys.
Yeah, super, super impressive. So a little bit of time here. I just want to talk about the rest of your season, to see how things are going. Has the team taken part in any of the at-home challenges from FRC?
Yeah, so we are participating in the Innovation Challenge, as you said earlier. Mahir and I are co-heading that. We're also participating in the Game Design Challenge. And we unfortunately haven't been able to participate in the Infinite Recharge at Home Skills Challenges because of local COVID-19 restrictions.
That's a lot of teams are in the same boat, here in Ontario, and but it's really cool that FRC has lots of options, and it's also very cool that you came up with your own options, and created something dynamic, and that's a resource. That is really, really neat. Did you do chairman's this year? Chairman's interview coming up next week?
Yes,
Yeah.
we've got it coming up. Very excited.
Are any of you presenters?
3 of us.
Yeah, 3 of us.
So Stella, Peter, and
me.
Nice. How are you feeling about this?
We're looking forward to it. We've got some meetings booked, some practices with our mentors booked, getting ready.
Yeah, I think the most important thing with the chairman judges is to share your enthusiasm for this program, and share all the cool stuff that you're doing and let the rest happen. And you just, always make sure you answer their questions as directly as you can. But I'm sure that'll be really great. So you said you've done game design. You said you've done innovation challenge. I'm going to put you all on the spot. Which is your favorite?
Biased opinion, but it has to be Innovation Challenge.
Yeah, I have to go with Mahir on that one.
That's fair because we do have the 2 co-heads of the Innovation Challenge here with us. Can you give us a little tease on what you've been working on? And if you can't, that's okay too. I don't want to spoil anything.
Okay, so basically, we know that a lot of people, especially teenagers and younger adults, may find it difficult to motivate themselves to exercise consistently, exercise a lot. I find in the past, even myself, I've started an exercise regimen only to get bored of it after a month or so. And we hope to tackle that with our solution.
Oh, that's a very important problem. We know the difficulties that lack of activity can create. So that's very cool. You all seem like a pretty wise group. So I want to go around. Does anyone have any advice they'd like to give the other teams out there right now?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I actually mentioned in the seminar, it's talking about mental health. I think during this time, I think a lot of us are feeling really isolated, especially being in high school. Like you're not able to see your friends, you live with your parents. And I think having communication like this, we have a Discord on our team, and during team meetings, we're actually, after we run games like Among Us and stuff, which has been, I think, really fun. And I think it's a really important thing to do with teams at this time.
Yeah, I think that you can never spend enough attention on your mental health, and it's always an important reminder. But this year has been, we're coming up on 1 year now, and it's been a wild ride. And like you said, isolating. And we're social creatures, and you need to be. So it's really, really important. Any other advice?
I don't know. I think that that's the strongest thing, remembering, in these times, it's so hard to remember what it's like to actually be in person. And it's very easy to forget all of those past experiences. So like Stella said, engaging, even doing silly games like Among Us or whatever, that's trying to fit into a new normal.
Mm-hmm. And so then, Katerina, I got one question for you, because you were a Dean's List finalist last year, or semi-finalist at Western. You won there, and a whole bunch of our students are going to be interviewing over the next couple of weeks. Any advice for them going into those interviews?
I know a lot of people, because I was helping our nominees this year rehearse some of the questions. Brag, I know it feels very selfish, but this is like your 7 minutes to shine. You have been selfless for 364 days of the year. This is your 7 minutes to shine. Remember all the great things that you do. Try writing things out in a list. Because especially now, it's easy to forget all the things that you did way back in grade 9. But yeah, remember.
I love that. And I'm going to give that exact same advice out to everyone who's doing chairmans, especially the three of you. You will need to convince the judges that you are the most deserving team of the chairman's award. And you know you deserve it. You know what your team has done, but they don't know it yet. You have to assert that and, make it very clear and be bold, because there's nothing wrong about being bold about what you are proud of. And I know we have a tendency to be like, oh, I don't want to be too boastful. And that's right. You never want to rub things in people's faces, but that's not what this medium is about. This medium is about you having an opportunity to tell the judges how awesome your team is or how awesome you are, and just do it. And, I loved everything I saw here today, because this was really, really cool. And everyone out there, head to their website, warp7.ca, if you want to sign up for those last couple seminars, or you want to check out the versions on YouTube. Thanks so much for coming on the show. This was a lot of fun. And, if you do want to present about your innovation challenge or game design challenge, hit us up, because we do have time slots open and we can bring you back out for something like that. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right. Good luck with the rest of the seminars. Good luck with chairmans. Good luck with everything. And, shout out to the whole Bucket Hat crew. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Everyone. And now we're going to get ready for a story time segment with Taegen Poles, but we'll be back in just a little bit. Oh, hey, we're back. Rudy, are you with me? There you are. Your internet's gotten better throughout the show, I think.
Yeah, it definitely has. I switched locations.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Okay, it's time for story time, which is usually my favorite segment. I think it's going to be a good one, because we have none other than Taegen Poles, who's a First Canada alum from Team 771 and a mentor for Team 4476, the Waffles, and a First Canada referee. Hey, how's it going, Taegen?
Hey, everyone. I'm doing pretty well. How are you guys doing?
We are doing fabulous. Thank you. You've been busy with us lately, because you've been on a lot. So and you've been doing a lot of other stuff. So you've been on to talk about FLL Discover, right? Discover or Explore. You talked about Explore and those awesome workshops you've been doing. You were on for the Kahoot Challenge, which you almost took Brennan down. You had him. It was to the last question, and you almost had him. Then this past weekend, you were doing the FRC Sim as the game announcer, which I checked out, and we can talk about that in a bit, which was super wild and super cool. And you're here today, and then you're going to be mentoring the STEM-a-thon next weekend, right?
Yeah, so a lot of first stuff coming up, which, I mean, to fill the competition season void, it's probably one of the best things I can be doing. So I'm happy with that. Super excited for the STEM-a-thon. It's going to be my first time talking to a bunch of girls and allies about, what it means to be a STEM leader, what FRST can give you and all those different skills. So I'm really excited to be spending my time with you guys for the next few weeks.
That's fabulous. And we're so super glad to have you. But I guess, Taegen, let's take it back to the beginning, because you started first, you were in grade 7, right?
Grade, 9, I think.
Okay.
Something like that. It was like grade 9 or 8, something like that.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
was small.
Your school also
small,
had your school also had those weird grades. You called them S's or whatever instead of grades. I don't know what's up with that. But Taegen, why don't you take us through your journey? Where did you start, and where are you now, and how did you get there?
Well, for sure. So my first introduction to FRST in general is actually through my sister, who's watching now. So hi, Ainsley. Hi, Mom and Dad. I know you're watching now. And it was because she was on our FLL team at school. She was in grade 5 or 6, and we went to the competition there. And then my science teacher, Mr. Chow, was there, and he's like, "Hey, Taegen, you're here. Why aren't you doing this on the FRC team?" And I had convinced myself that I couldn't do it, because I thought that I didn't join Lego Club in grade 6. So how could I ever be part of the FRC team?
It's too late. You missed your opportunity.
I thought it was a requirement, and he's like, "No, what are you talking about?" So then I joined, and my first meeting was kickoff for the 2013 Ultimate Ascent season, and had no idea what I was doing, but was super excited because a lot of my friends were on the team, and fell in love with it. So my first event was later that year at the Greater Toronto West Regional was SWAT, where we, I got to see like our team, we won chairman's that year. And I remember like, I didn't really know what that meant, but I remember everyone was being super excited, and everyone was being super excited because that was the event where Mrs. Sills won the Woody Flowers Finalist Award. And everyone was even more excited for that. And I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Everyone's excited all the time. Like, no, what could be better than that? And then my next event went to Calgary later that year for the first Western Canada regional out there. I'd never been like out of Ontario or Quebec, so I got to like fly across, see Banff. That was super exciting too. Then go to Worlds that year. Stayed with the team for 2014, and then we moved schools. So we moved from Oakville to Port Hope, which is a smaller town out between Toronto and Kingston that didn't have a team. So I took a 2-year hiatus and then rejoined. So I graduated, went to Queen's University, and I thought, okay, well, I'll volunteer at the Kingston FLL tournament, right? It's something that's familiar, I can do whatever they really need me to do. And then from there, like I never planned on mentoring because I didn't think I knew anything. And then the Waffles just kind of dragged me into it. So like, well, you might have some chairman's experience, maybe you could come talk about that. Maybe you could come talk to the team. And I was like, okay, well, sure. And the first thing I did is help write our team's Woody Flowers that saying, okay, well, that's familiar territory. That's something I know how to do. And then from there, just developing skills, got into the strategy a little bit, started learning more through engineering. So then I felt more confident helping out with the mechanical side of the team. And now, a bit of a jack of all trades, gone back to FLL a little bit to stay with the younger kids, but still helping out with FRC as well. So it's gone from like this one kid that thought she couldn't do anything because she didn't join Lego Club in grade 6 to now, I think 7 or 8 years later, like ton of experience, met a lot of great people, all these awesome experiences.
I enjoy that you just said got into strategy a bit, because like at events you were like one of the most intense strategists I've seen. Like you were like Paul Copioli levels of intense. Like when Taegen's like getting into it, it's like you got this clipboard and you're just like, okay, and this and this and this and this, and like you start talking super fast and like everything. It's like, wow, there's like, so it's more than just a little bit. Like,
well, it was, I didn't know much about strategy at all either, because that wasn't something I'd been involved with as a student, didn't know anything about it. And then, so my first year doing strategy was in 2018, my first event. And I really didn't know what I was doing because it was my first event. So I remember like running back because Brennan had been the strategy lead for the rest of Waffle's existence. And like every match, I'm like, is this the right thing? He's like, yeah, it's the right thing. Like, you know what to do. And then from there, like the confidence growing and then being able to teach students about it, get them into it. So like it started as being a bit into strategy, and now it's, a big part of what I do with the team.
It didn't take you that long to get acquitted, because I remember working with you in 2019 at the Durham event when I was helping out 45-25, and it was just like, okay, they know what they're doing. Like, this is like, okay, there's a plan. This is really, really awesome. Brittany, you got a question for Taegen?
Yeah. So Taegen, it seems like you've been really involved with FIRST, and like you're doing refing, and now you're helping out with the STEM-a-thon, and you're doing so much. Like, what's your proudest FIRST moment?
So proudest first moment, oh geez. I think so like there's things that I've witnessed that I think are like my key like components of why I got into FIRST. The first one that's like involving me and something I did was the 2019 FLL event in Kingston. I'd run 4 teams that year as the lead mentor for 4 teams, and it was working, I think, 3 or 4 days a week with them every night. I'd come back from my co-op position and go help them for like an hour or 2. And then I didn't know, but they'd nominated me for the Youth Coach Award. And I just remember like hearing the speech that they gave, because they all like write nomination forms. And I hadn't told them that they had to do it. I was like, here's the forms, just nominate whoever helped you at the season that you thought. And all 4 of the teams talked about me. And the things that they said in it that got brought back in the interview were just like, they brought me to tears. Like, I was bawling in the middle of like the tournament floor, because it was just like, seeing that impact that I'd had on other kids to get them involved was really good. And that's something like, I think the trophies over in my cabinet, I've got like the certificate up on the wall. Like, that was the thing that for me, it was almost like a validation of everything that I put in, and like they were awesome kids. It was really great working with them, and that's probably my proudest moment as a mentor that I keep very near and dear to my heart.
It's funny that you say the word validation there, because I've heard that so many times from Dean's List finalists, from Woody Flowers finalist award winners, from teams after they've won chairmans, where they they knew they were doing something right and they believed in themselves, but hearing it from someone else and getting that award, knowing that the team nominated you, knowing that a panel of very distinguished judges chose you, is like, oh wow, I can really do this. This is I had the exact same feeling when I won Woody Flowers finalist award like 80 billion years ago. But I just remember I was like this, you know, at the University of Waterloo. It's like I don't even know if I really know what I'm doing as a mentor. I know that I'm trying, and like I thought that I understood how to build good robots, but I didn't know that I knew what I do was doing. And like to get that, I was like, oh, the team chose me, and it was like, okay,
Mhm.
wow,
And
and
hearing it in
validation.
their words too, right? It's not
Right.
like sometimes too, don't get me wrong, especially working with FLL kids, they're 9 to 14-year-olds. And I think if you remember what you were like a 9 to 14-year-old, sometimes you want to tear your hair out. Like they're adorable, but you want to tear your hair out. And so it's like, am I getting through to them? Or lack thereof, I guess. Am I
Thanks,
getting
Taegen,
through to
thanks.
them? No problem. I saw you scratch your head.
Yeah.
Am I getting through to them? Like, are they actually learning? Are they doing anything? And in their own words, having them write that was just incredible. Like one of the most impactful things that I've had happen to me
Yeah,
ever.
absolutely. So, you know, we talked a little bit, you know, really asked about your proudest moment, but do you have like a favorite? And you are like definitely an FRC historian. That was very clear to me with your success in the Kahoot, you know, all sorts of stuff about events that you weren't around for, events that happened while you were in your gap. But is there like a favorite FRC story, whether it be an event, one that you were part of or one that you've heard about that you want to tell us about today?
So I think part of why I like got so stuck to first was because my favorite like story happened at my like second event ever, and it was going to the Calgary Regional in 2013 because there was this team there. And I say team, but it was one person running his own friggin' team, like 4625 Herman. Yeah, the Herman story. And it was the like second event I'd ever attended. And seeing this one guy, he flies in, and he's doing it all himself. It's him and his mentor. And I actually got to be like his human player for one match, which I thought was super cool. Not that I was particularly good at it because I'm like 5 foot tall trying to like chuck the frisbees over it, but whatever. Like we all were just having fun. Like us, and I think 1305 was there, 288, the Robodogs, all of them were just like lending out people here and there to be the rest of his drive team. And it was just so much fun. And that was something like, again, at the time, didn't really realize how unique that was. And it was actually one of the most unique stories that like First Canada has had.
It comes up. That's come
all the
come up
time
on multiple episodes of First Canada Live and everything. That
Yeah.
was super, super great. What do you think,
Yeah.
Rady?
Yeah, you're so involved with First, and like again, I've only been a part of First for 3 years, so I'm not too familiar with what happened so long ago. So it's really nice knowing that you know so much and like you're really involved. And going back to the 4 teams that nominated you, right? I feel like as like a team member on an FRC team, like I'm really grateful for the mentors that I have. So I think like you should definitely be proud of yourself for being like nominated for that. Like that's just incredible. Like mentors are just so incredible. So
Thank you. I appreciate that. One day, like they know how much you care about them. You know, that they will realize it. Even if they don't think they realize it, they do. So, you know, as a student, yeah, just let your mentors know they appreciate you and vice versa, because they appreciate you as students too. Students teach mentors way more than they ever realize too.
So you mentioned that you hooked up with the Waffles in Kingston because you were going to Queens. What did you study at Queens? Are you still at Queens? I'm not even.
Yeah, so I'm in my last semester of my undergrad here at Queens. I graduated in 2016, started here later in September that year, and studied. At first, it was just general engineering because part of it was like why I went to Queens was I had no idea. Like I knew I wanted to do something that was engineering related, but I had no idea what I wanted to do. And they have the general first year. And at first I decided, because at the time I only lived like an hour away from Queens, I'm like, nope, never going to Queens. Too close to home. Can't do it. But then I went and did like a school visit and saw like the facilities and fell in love with it. So yeah, my dad and I like walked around the campus and was like, okay, well, that's the engineering building. Okay, there are the labs. Those look pretty cool. Fine, I guess. And I went from like reluctant, I'm never going to apply there, don't even want to like talk about Queens, to loving it. And I went into mechanical eventually because it just seemed like the right fit. and it was a little more general. And then in my second year, I took a material science course. So learning all about, what actually happens on that molecular level. So then I went from mechanical engineering to a specialization in like material science. So I'll be graduating with that hopefully in May this year.
Well, congratulations on graduation. I mean, I know some of the Queen's traditions or whatever. Do you have to like climb a grease pole, or are they gonna like?
So
That's
I
still a
was
thing?
a part of those. Yep, that was
Yeah.
a thing, and I got dyed purple and all of that, and I didn't know about any of that when I came to Queens. I just knew about the program, and so
Yeah.
the first week, like I'm sitting in, and they have all these. It's for those who go to Queens, if you haven't gone to Queens, you're sitting in the like exam hall clock tower, and you're sitting there. They're giving you like a talk about what to expect in your 4 years, and then like these purple people with hair like done up to like mohawks and covered in spray paint, they like come sprinting in and like have you run out the building and start like moshing in a mosh pit. And I'm like, did I just join a cult? Like, what's happening? But it's actually, it's a little bit more of like a community. And while it gets really, if you don't know what to expect, it actually turns into something that's like a family. And then you become friends with your frosh group and you keep them with you through your like entire 4 years. Like I'm still friends with the people I met in first week. And I think that's something that Queens did really well, was like they give you that close family that you're connected with and like stick with for the rest of your term.
That's very, very cool.
So you seem to be really involved with engineering at Queens and STEM and like FIRST and so much more. And I was just wondering, like, who's inspired you the most?
Just in general, or so it actually ties into something that is not at all related to robotics, but my first like inspiration was actually Michael Schumacher. And if you don't know him, he's this like Formula One superstar. So I really love race cars. That's the other thing that you see behind me and behind me. And basically I just like watching cars go fast. That's how it started. And then I was like, oh, wait, I want to be an F1 driver one day. And so Michael's the guy who was winning like 7 world championships at the time. And so I wrote to him when I was like 6. And I sent him an email like, oh my God, you've meant everything to me. You're awesome. I want to be like you. And I got something back from him in Switzerland. And it was just like, every time I think about it, it brings back like that memory of how much that meant to me as a kid. And so, keeping that with me, that was my drive. Like, I'm going to be like Michael Schumacher. I'm going to be the world's first like F1 driver who's a woman to win a race. And so that moment of like getting that letter back as a kid, and my mom like running in the house like, oh my God, we have a letter from Switzerland. That moment inspires me every day.
Yeah,
That's
to be
amazing.
to be like recognized by someone that inspires you is such like a big deal. So I'm so proud that that happened for you. I'm so happy for you.
I'm so grateful, because if that hadn't happened, a big thing is like, as a woman especially, there's a lot of haters, and I'm sure you'll realize too, like there's a lot of haters and they will tear you down. But having that like recognition and knowing that there's people out there who have your back is one of the most important things. And so like, that drives you too. It drives you to be better every day.
And it's driven you very far because, we've talked about like all the cool first stuff you've done, but your love of auto racing still persists, and you're a race car driver.
That is true. And so that's another thing.
Tell us everything. Tell us everything.
Yeah. So so after that moment, basically I was like, Dad, I want to start driving. Like, take me to the kart track. Let's go. Am I old enough yet? And so at 7 years old, I started racing for the first time. And I got in the cart and I totally binned it. I was like off in the dirt. I was like, oh my God, like what's happening? But I stuck with it, and I got my own cart, and I would start racing. And I was, I think, 8 when I got my first cart and won my first race in the rain. And rain racing is something that it's part of my favorite things, because it shows like a driver's skill, because you don't have, however good your equipment is, doesn't really matter in the rain. It's all about like precision, accuracy, and driving like that. So then, so from there, I won my first championship when I was 8 as well, I think. And it was in a class of 8 to 12-year-olds. So being the only girl in the class and winning that championship was, to me, I thought it was the most fantastic thing ever. Thank you. Sorry. Sorry, I have to sneeze. 1 second. I'm gonna mute that so I don't blow you.
Bless you.
Thank you. So yeah, so I won that championship and I kept up with the karting, and it wasn't until I hit 14 that I started having the opportunity to like grow up and go into cars, because that's when like that transition kind of hits. It's before you get your own driver's license, you're allowed to go out and drive a race car at whatever speed you can get to. And so
makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, exactly, right? And so I drove the first time I drove a race car was in I was in grade 11 at the time, so I was like 14, 15, and it was a Formula 1600 car, and I hit up to a max speed of like 210 kilometers an hour, which was a lot of fun. So that and on a track in Mosport, and then I did the Bridgestone Driver Academy too. It's where you're in a Formula 2000 car, and it was again only girl there. That's one big thing is like if you think STEM has a gender imbalance, you should see racing. But eventually, once you get over the guys telling you like, oh your daughter doesn't belong in the track with me, you kind of push that aside because you beat them in a race, and then they have no ground to stand on. And so I did the Bridgestone Academy when I turned 16. That was the best like 16th birthday present ever, was going and doing that. And then I did a half a season with Brian Graham Racing in 2015-16, and did Formula 1600 for a half season with them, and finished 7th in my second race with them, which was pretty good. I've also done races here and there in other series, like the Nissan Micra Cup. I did a race in that where you're driving, it's just like road Nissan Micras, but they turn off like the ABS and some of the assists, and you go out to tracks in it's an Ontario and Quebec series. And then I also most recently in 2019 was nominated for the first ever all women's racing series. So with that intent of getting women into motorsport, I applied for a Formula 3 series, which is then global. And I was one of the 54 women from around the world who was chosen as like sort of in recognition of both results and as a trailblazer in mentoring other young women to get into karting and racing from there. So I did that most recently, and then finished karting that year. I didn't like do the series full time, just it didn't work with studies and what they were looking for in their drivers to progress, but did more karting, and then with COVID took a year off. But racing is still the goal now. It's not to become a Formula 1 driver, but to become the chief of engineering at an F1 team. So now it's applying to jobs at McLaren and Mercedes and all that cool stuff, which I don't know, find that a lot of fun too.
That sounds super awesome. I have many questions about that in a second, but are you saying that your driving career is retired right now, or?
Well, I didn't do it for COVID. I'm going to get back into it this year, but sticking with the karting, just because of money, because it takes to do a full season in karts. So for those business people out there, if you want to get into racing, get ready. It takes $100,000 to do a junior level formula part-time for a year. So find your sponsors, find your piggy bank, and get going. So that's where I hit the wall, was just not having the funding to go any further. So I'm doing it at the best level that I can with what I can afford.
I got $20 to sponsor Team Taegen. There we go.
So that was one of the things that I did though. And two, for those like who are looking at ways to kind of sponsor their FRC teams, I just did crowdfunding for that one half season. And I ended up making a few thousand doing that because people thought it was, it was a good cause to get behind. And I wasn't awful at it. It was someone where maybe you'd get your name on like you get a car that goes fast, you get your name on the side. So there's a photo somewhere where I put a little label for everyone who had donated on the side of the car, and it's just covered in like white, like those like label stickers just covered on the side because I didn't have any fancy stickers or whatever. Yeah. But and then I took them off and sent them to the people after the race.
I get good value for my name, for
that's
that $20. Let's see, it's going a long distance right there.
There you go.
So there's a few people in FRC who are very into F1 racing, and Tyler Holtzman from 2056 talks about this a lot. He's mentioned that there's a strong parallel between F1 and FRC. Do you see that parallel, and where do you think that parallel lays?
So a lot of it is knowing that it's not just like in FRC, we talk about it's not just about the robot. Racing is not just about the driver. It's a full package. There is strategy involved. There is behind the scenes work. Fitness is a big one that racing, people think, oh, it's not really a sport. When you're pulling like 4Gs going like, maybe 100 kilometers around a corner, your neck will feel it if you haven't been putting in the work behind the scenes to make a good product. And so with robotics, like all that work you're doing in the shop is just preparation for things like that, where it's way more than what meets the eye. Racing is very similar. There's that massive team behind every successful driver, all their supporters, all their sponsors, the like, and there's the strategy, the business, the fitness versus the training, all that, and scouting too. Like you want to know a little bit about your competitors. You want to know who likes to overtake in which corners and where they're doing better than you, and then you can use that to learn, and it's a constant feedback loop that you see in racing, that you see in robotics as well.
I saw one video, and I forget which team it was. I don't want to, because I'll butcher it, but it was their command center during the race, and it's like 30 people all at computers, all looking at various telemetry, scouting, whatever, and they're feeding information to like one chief who's then filtering what's important to the crew on site. And I was like, whoa, this is so awesome. And it's kind of like, it reminded me like a little bit like, an FRC event where you have like your 6 scouts, and then you have like 6 other people watching. You have this like massive crew of network, and then they funnel everything through a lead strategist, and like, it gets put
and then
into
it goes
an app,
to the drive team, and it's all one big network. And without one piece of the puzzle, everything falls apart.
Right.
Like without scouting, your robot falls apart. Without your technicians telling you, hey, you're about to run out of fuel, like change your fuel mode, you're gonna end up on the side of the track without anywhere to go.
Yeah,
and so it's all a cycle.
And it's the total team effort right there. It's the total team thing. And I think it would be very, very awesome if your skills that you've picked up along the way at first end up getting applied to an F1 team out there somewhere, and that would be super cool. So you're gonna have to keep us up to date.
I will do it. And for those watching, if you want to know more about racing and you don't know anything, Drive to Survive is on Netflix. It covers Formula One, and it talks about some of those team relations. If you haven't seen it, season 3 is coming out in 10 days. Super excited for that. And it's super short, so you should watch that to learn a little bit more.
Awesome. So Taegen, we've only got a couple more minutes left here, but is there anything you want to plug? Maybe some things that the Waffles have been working on, FL Explorer, maybe anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, so a few things going on. There's a lot going on with the Waffles right now, especially for younger programs. We're starting up a 4 to 6-year-old program with the FLL Discover. That starts this week. I'm going to be sending out, I think you can register on the Waffles website / like our Facebook pages. Something else that we're doing that we're always looking for suggestions for is called Waffles for Wellness. It's one of our big initiatives that we use to help make basically the world a better place. So we've done things like personal hygiene drives for the homeless in Kingston. We did during COVID, like printing things for frontline workers, like 3D printing things. And we're looking at more ideas. And if there are any teams out there who are interested in working with us on that, one of our things that we're doing right now is there's a trivia game that you can play online where if you answer questions right, like it donates rice to people who are hungry. Each question you answer like gets you more rice. And so we're doing like a big kick within our team on doing that. So if you're interested in like pairing up with us on that, if you're any teams looking for some stuff to add to your outreach, just shoot us an email, and super happy to help out with that. And other than that, just keep in touch. We're a friendly team and we like to work with other teams. There's a lot of great teams, 865 and 4917, 2 fantastic teams that you guys talked to today. And the more first teams I think work together and get to know each other a little bit better, the better everyone's going to be for it, because everyone has different experiences that can give different helpful tips to everyone else as well. So just stay connected. There's nothing else to do. Stay connected.
It's great advice, Taegen. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Where can they reach the Waffles if people want to?
So our website, wafflesrobotics.com. You can, I think on there's a contact us page. We also have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitch, TikTok. And not that I know how that one works. I'm trying. I don't know. It's like it's a Gen Z thing. And LinkedIn or Pinterest, all those things. We've got a bunch of different things. And if you don't have a team that you want to work with and you want to join a team, in your email, let us know. We're also accepting remote students and mentors. So if you're looking at getting involved in a team, let us know and we can figure something out.
Awesome, Taegen. Thank you so much for being on the show, and we will see you soon somewhere.
Yeah, see you
event,
guys
something,
soon.
something. All right, take it easy, Taegen. Oh, also,
Right.
Taegen, happy birthday to your mom, I hear, tomorrow.
Yes, Mom's birthday's tomorrow.
Happy birthday,
so.
Taegen's mom.
All right. Thanks,
right.
guys. Thanks for
Take it
having me
easy.
and take care. Bye.
Rudy, wasn't that like an awesome show today?
It really was. I loved it.
We covered like a wide range of stuff. You know, we talked seminar series, we talked FLL Challenge, you know, we talked about everything that 4917 is doing to stay involved while not being able to run the season. And then with Taegen, we started talking about race car driving. Like this is just get alive. You never know what's going to expect on the show. It's always going to be a good time. And speaking of a good time, next week we are back and we have a wrap up of FTC qualifier #1, which I'm really excited because we get to see some FTC matches on the show. The Kahoot Challenge is back. We've got Brennan going up against Challenger Curtis from Team 4678, which will be really good to see. And we got a story time with Amanda Chan, who's also an alum of Team 771, but currently working at Amazon Robotics. So we might get Taegen gave us a peek behind, the curtain of the racing world. Maybe Amanda's going to tell us a little bit about what it's like to work at Amazon and all the neat stuff that they're doing. So it's going to be a great show. Make sure you tune in next Tuesday and every Tuesday here on First Canada Live. It'll be a good time. Anything you want to say to close it out, Rudy?
Thank you for having me. I love being on this show. It's so much fun, and I can't wait to be back.
I can't wait to have you back, Rudy. It'll be a good time. Everyone out there, stay safe, be careful, do all sorts of good stuff, and we will see everyone soon. Thanks to our producers, moderator, and chat. Good night, everyone.